Hey everybody, this is TCG Productions here, and today I'm going to be tearing down not one, but two bad SAS hard drives. These are Seagate Cheetah 15K5 hard drives, 300 gigabytes each, 15,000 RPM if you weren't able to guess from the model number. And both of these drives are completely bad. I got these drives, I think, somewhere around a year ago. If not that, really close to it at least. And these were part of a large donation that I helped process. And during the processing of that, I went ahead and wiped all the hard drives. So that way, any data that was previously on those drives was permanently and securely erased. And these two drives were among, I think, about a half a dozen drives that turned up dead. They were either dead on arrival or they failed during the wiping procedure. So, yeah, these drives are dead. And I've had them kicking around for quite some time, and this evening I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to take these things apart on video. So, and this is Memorial Day weekend, and speaking of videos and Memorial Day weekend, when your viewing audience is overwhelmingly middle-aged male Americans, releasing a video at the beginning of Memorial Day weekend is not how your videos go off to a great start as a small YouTuber. Because as of the recording of this video, which is Saturday night on May 25th, 2024, I believe that my most recently released video only has about 11 views on it, which is at the extreme low end. Yeah, 11 views, which is at the extreme low end of the scale for where videos usually rank. So, yeah, not a great start for that particular video. That particular video is a detailed overview video capture machine V3. I'll have it carded up in the corner and linked down in the description if I remember to do so. So, anyways, I've got the specialty toolkit here, and yeah, I cannot power these drives up because this connector here, you're not meant to just individually plug connectors into this. No, this is designed to be assembled into a tray, and that tray gets slotted into an enclosure of some description. So, this is the bottom of the drive here. Getting some good shots that I can grab out of the video to use in the thumbnail that will eventually be prepared for this video. So, and another thing to note about these drives is the label. The top of the label is at the connector end of the drive, which runs counter to some other drives where the top of the label is back here and the bottom of the label is up here at the connector end. So that way whenever you pull the drive out of an enclosure, it's easy to identify it without having to basically turn into a ghost and clip into your server rack, so that way you can properly read the label after you've ejected the drive from your enclosure. So anyways, I believe these are Torx T... I'm going to take a guess and say T15. And my guess was incorrect. These are not Torx T15s. Okay, let's go down to T10. And it's not a T10 either. Okay, let's try a T9. And T9 is the magic size here, both top and bottom sides. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what's wrong with these drives, other than the fact that they're bad. The enclosure that these are in got uppity about these drives, and it just started flashing an amber status light, indicating that the disk in that slot is in trouble. So, I think I'm gonna start this off is I'll go ahead, flip the drive over, and take the logic board off of the drive. Now this is a fairly sizable logic board, and that's a fairly sizable screw right there. And maybe if I'm clever enough, I'll figure out how to position the camera such that my elbow isn't always perpetually in the way. Here, which would be lock two of these, level it out, lock the third, adjust the camera. Well, it puts my elbow more in the way now, does it? So, yeah, this is not a great angle, is it? And the screws do not appear to be made of any sort of a ferrous material, because I know these bits are magnetized. However, these bits are not picking up these screws. So I would say that these screws might be made from aluminum, maybe. So anyways, continue taking the screws out of the logic board. And if the dog should go absolutely insane, it's probably because one of them is reacting to fireworks, and the other one is reacting to the first one reacting to fireworks. So let's try a bit that I know is magnetic. Yeah, these screws are not made of any sort of a ferrous material. Which I suppose is a good thing in an enterprise-grade hard drive like this. So you don't unintentionally magnetize your screws, or even worse, permanently magnetize the drive itself. And there we go, logic board comes right up off the drive. And I can see a few spots where it looks like things have gotten quite toasty. There's several of these actually. So if we have a look at the back side of the logic board here, we can see that here is where the head stack is connected to the logic board. Just friction, just press fit gold fingers or tabs that are press fit onto presumably silver pads here. And we can see we've got a copper, not a copper, and we can see we've got some sort of a plane here under a Marvell chip. So that Marvell chip could be anything. I know it's not the motor driver. The motor driver is this Smooth branded chip here. And yeah, that got hot. And there's another spot under this LSI Logic chip here, which is almost undoubtedly the SAS controller chip. And if we look at the insulating heat the insulating shield here, we can see 3 spots where this has gotten quite hot. So maybe we had a logic board failure due to overheating. Not sure. What I'll do next is I'll go ahead and peel the insulating layer up and off of the bottom of the drive. And we can see, you may or may not be able to see, it kind of has yellowed around the edges. I think that's just because of exposure to air and age and time. Starting to get even with the foam. So, and then this is the bottom of the drive, and that looks awesome. And we can see the gold fingers up here that connect to the head stack and the drive, and then we've got 3 gold fingers here that connect to the spindle motor. Given how we've got only 3 fingers there, this could be anything. Could be a direct DC motor with start and run windings. It could be a 2-phase arrangement. It could be a 3-wire 3-phase motor. Not quite sure. There are possibilities. So, next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and pop the screws out of the cover of the drive. And these screws are, again, non-ferrous, so my magnetic screwdriver bits will not pick these up. In fact, they rather annoyingly just fall off of the cover. So, at least it's not like last night where the weather radio went off several times because of storms in the area. No, last night I was actually editing the Video Capture Machine V3 video. Editing and rendering and uploading it and getting that all ready to go, publish and out the door. And then there's usually 2 hidden screws. Sometimes there's one that helps hold the platter stack in place. I don't feel one under the cover. And there's sometimes one that holds the head stack in place, and I do feel one around here. Yep, there we go. Found it. So that screw is right here. And it just backs out of the drive. And that's a pretty tall screw, so yeah, that goes right through the head stack. And then we've got another buried screw right here. And I'm not exactly sure what that's going into. That may be securing some sort of a shutter or a cover. We have a 3rd screw right under here, keeping this thing closed up. So finally, with that screw out of the way, the cover comes off, and we've had a head crash. Ooh. So we've got 2 magnet screws, and so we've got 2 magnet screws, obviously, and 1 screw for the head stack. And yeah, definitely a nasty head crash took place in this drive. You see all that iron there? That used to be data. And I imagine if I would have wiped my finger on just about anything in the air path, yeah, that's ferrous. That's ferrous material. That obviously used to be on the platter stacks. And if we look at the filter, yeah, it's yep, head crash. I don't think we have to tear too much further into this drive to figure out what went wrong. And if we look carefully, we can see we can see a couple of things. One, the end of that head is completely gone. There's nothing there anymore. It's been ground into dust. And two, we can see where it has actually begun to damage the platter itself after scraping the coating off of it. We have a 4-platter drive. So what are we going to do next? I think for now I'm going to set this to the side, and I'll go ahead and pop the yep, that used to be data. That's now dust. So I'm going to wipe my hands off as best I can, at least on a very short-term temporary basis. Set everything to the side over here, and I'm going to keep the logic board on this drive, but I am going to go ahead and pop the screws out of it, get the cover off, see what we find. Because if this drive is also head crashed, then only one of these drives will be coming completely apart. But if only one of these drives is head crashed and the other one just has some other sort of defect, then the one that's not going to get dust all over me in the tech room will be the one coming apart. And, well, we've already seen that one of the drives has suffered a nasty head crash, so that only leaves this one, and we don't even know if this drive is head crashed because, well, I haven't gotten the cover off of it yet. And head crash. Yep. Well, that's 2 head crash drives. And this one, crashed in multiple spots. Again, it's ground the end of the head stack right off and thoroughly messed up the platter right there in the center of the platter, and ground more lines into other parts of the platter. And it looks like that drive's toast. Both of these drives are completely toast. No wonder that the enclosures rejected these drives. I'm just going to wipe the dust off of here. Yeah, that's no bueno. This is going to get messy. So, oh yeah, my finger's already getting nasty. Little black mark on it. Looks like I dipped it in printer. Looks like I dipped it in printer ink. So, this is one of the air filters. Normally this should be completely white. Obviously that is no longer the case. So, let's see if I can unpark that, but I'm 99% sure that the magnet has to come out. And the filter just fell out of the other drive, and it actually dropped a bunch of dust on the table. That's how bad this one is. Again, these filters should be white. So, got a couple screws here. And let's see, that's for the magnet. Okay, we've got a torque screw right down here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. That's one thing where these non-ferrous screws have it all over other types of screws, is because the non-ferrous screws do not try to permanently attach themselves to the magnet. We've got another couple of screws here on this air guide. Go ahead and pop these out, and I'm going to try to use tweezers for as much of this as I can, because this is nasty. And I probably have to disassemble the platter stack to start getting this air guide out, I think. Those out. Yep. So now I need to get the upper half of the magnet out of the drive. And this is strongly attracted to the lower half of the magnet. This does not appear it's going to be a grand old Opry production. There we go. That was not a grand old production like getting the magnet out of the bad Seagate ST41650N drive was. And there it is. Be very careful with these magnets. There is a lot of force between them, and they will absolutely mess up your hand and fingers in a heartbeat if you get careless with them. I don't know what the camera's detecting there, but it's clearly, obviously not going to be a face. Go ahead and get the head stack retention arm out of there. That should allow me to pivot the head stack all the way off of the platters. And yeah, the whole head stack is completely mangled. So the next thing I'm going to do is switch back to my Torx driver and undo the two Torx screws that hold the contact pad down. That has the gold fingers on it that connects the head stack to the rest of the drive. Give my tweezers a mechanical tweaking there. And that does not want to come loose. It may have a glue pad on it keeping it down. Yep. Heard the glue let go as I press the connector back into the drive. Oh, it's a rubber gasket. Okay. And this is probably held down with just a clamping force. Camera does not want to focus on it, much to my annoyance. Then the head stack should pivot off of the platters, and going by this notch that's been cut into the head stack, I need to use a flathead driver to turn this, which should back the head stack out of the drive. And let's see. We're going to use a completely and totally inappropriately tall flathead to do this. And there we go. And this head stack is thoroughly mangled. That may be too small for the camera. Oh, wait, there we go. Yeah, this head stack is mangled. None of the rewrite heads are left. They've all been ground off into pieces. Well, not pieces. More likely, they're more likely trapped in the dust filters as dust. That'll make a really nice frame grab for a thumbnail. And yep, there's more dust on the head stack. And I imagine that whenever we take the other drive apart, it will be similarly bad. So, and thanks for eating my bit. Not really. You got to be careful with these magnets because they'll do that and a whole lot more. So I'll go ahead and back this screw out. And the magnet uninstalls itself by coming out with my bit. And I'm going to place this a good foot away from the other half of the magnet because I do not want those unexpectedly coming together, because if that happens, then there's going to be shards of magnet flying everywhere, and I want to be on the business end of none of them. So now all that's left is to disassemble the platter stack. So I'll go ahead and loosen, at least get these screws loosened. And these are all Torx T9. This is the first drive I've taken apart in a long time that didn't require me to use 2 or even 3 different sizes of Torx bits to fully disassemble it. The only thing I've had to do to disassemble the drive in terms of bits is use a Torx T9 and a couple different sizes of flatheads, and wash my hands after this because there is this dust. This ferromagnetic dust is getting absolutely, positively everywhere, including all over my magnetized screwdriver bits, much to my irritation. So now that all these are loose, I'll just spin these out. And it does not look like this platter stack has any provisions for manually rebalancing it. Unlike the Seagate ST41650N drive that I tore down a while ago where it actually had a slug that you could drive into any number of spots on the spindle, and you could drive it down. You could drive it all the way down to the bottom of the spindle, which I think was a good 4 inches, to balance the spindle, or the bladder stack, if you will. So now, you can definitely tell the bit is magnetized, and the camera is not focusing. There we go, because that's ferromagnetic dust that has been attracted to the tip of my screwdriver. So, but this is the top of the bladder stack. This is basically a compression ring that fits over top here, and the clamping force applied by the screws compresses the whole bladder stack together. So, yep, every bladder in here is crashed by the looks of it. So there's the first one. It's only downhill from here. This one has 2 nasty grooves worn into the bladders. Now I can begin to disassemble the bladder separators and air guide. And it looks like we got these fancy bladder retention things here. I don't quite know what this is. This could be an air guide sort of arrangement deal. So, and we've got a spacer here that provides enough room for the bladders. That provides enough room for the read-write heads to fit in between the bladders. And this is the top of the second bladder. This is the bottom here. It's not as bad, but definitely trashed. Probably another air guide, if I had to say. We've got another spacer. And we've got the third bladder. This is the top of the third bladder. It's cooked. Not literally cooked, but yeah. Don't have to worry about erasing these drives because they've obviously self-erased for us. By self-erased, I mean all the data is quite literally dust. Bottom of the air guide stack. One more spacer. And finally, the last bladder out of the drive. This one has extra nasty grooves in the bottom of it. And this is a spindle motor here. I find that these spindle motors are usually pressed in. There may be a screw under here. I'm not going to go so far as to take it out because its connections are epoxied and soldered in here. We've got another probably filter down here, or an air guide if I had to say. I think it's a filter. It's cooked. Caked with the ferromagnetic dust that used to be data. So, Tearing down a couple of head crash hard drives.
A couple of what?
A couple of bad hard drives.
Okay.
Yep. Camera's rolling.
Okay. I'm sure you'll edit that out. Probably voice over it.
Yeah, or just leave it in. So, these drives are going to become display pieces, because that's just about all they're good for at this point. Yeah, it looks like an ink cartridge or a toner cartridge exploded while I was holding it. Yeah, I'm gonna put this drive back together and go from there. And I imagine that the other drive is going to be just as trashed as this one, because a severe head crash like this, you never get away from one of these severe head crashes like this cleanly. Whether it be your data, the drive itself, or even a person tearing apart the drive like me. It's going to look like I was working in a mechanic's shop after all this is said and done. Not even my tools are going to be coming away from this cleanly. And in case you didn't know, you should never take apart a hard drive you care about unless you A, know precisely and exactly what you're doing, and B, have the proper and correct tools for the job, and C, you are working in a minimum of a Class 100 clean room. This is shade tree mechanic level work at best. I mean, it's not even that really. It's an autopsy. Trying to find out what went wrong and how this drive kicked the bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and place the magnet back in here. And placing the magnets is honestly probably one of the most dangerous parts about this thing, about this whole operation. Because that's I consider it to be even more dangerous than separating the magnets. I've got one more screw to install into the lower magnet, and then I can go ahead and set the upper magnet in place where it will immediately, there we go, Yep, that made quite the noise coming back together, which is indicative of truly how much power is behind those magnets. And with that, this drive should be pretty much back together. And so there is a very head crashed, very dead drive. And I'll go ahead and tear the other drive apart. I'm not going to do all of it on video because it'd just basically be the same thing twice. And if I see any highlights, if I see anything truly worth highlighting in the video, I'll start the camera back up. Check this out. This platter is mangled even worse than all the other platters in the previous drive. There's some weird texture that's been put all over the most of the platter here, and there are almost what looks like pock marks put into the top of the platter here. I haven't even taken the whoa, look at the bottom, and ring ling ling, pick up the phone. I'm not doing too well at holding this, am I? Yeah, there's a big pock mark in the platter right here. I can feel that with the skin of my thumb. Probably not too good. And let's see, this platter looks about the same. And I'm back once again. This platter is definitely one of the worst, the top side of it. It's a lot of pock marks in that platter. And there it is. So yeah, as you can see, well, as you have seen, both of these drives are trashed. Head crashed all the way through and through. Both head stacks are mangled, dust throughout all the drives. I mean, look at my hands. And look at the paper towel there that I was wiping them on. I don't think that can be... yeah, these drives are trash. They are shelf queens at best. Maybe logic board donors, but that's a stretch. So, but yeah. Anyways, I think with that, this is TCG Productions here. Peace out, guys. Peace out, and I will see y'all in the next one. One little postscript to the video. I took apart the filter assembly that was mounted on the cover of the drive itself, and we appear to have a 3-stage filtration system here. We've got a looks like we have our first filter is very similar to the filter that was pulled out of the drive. There we go. This again should be completely white, but it is not. And then we've got some sort of a filter medium in here, which is caked and coated with something. I don't know if this is like an activated charcoal filter or what, but this is every bit as blackened as the dust that got stirred up in this drive whenever it had crashed. And then we have something here. I don't quite know what this is. If it's limestone or some sort of a man-made material, I'm not quite sure. But this appears to be relatively intact. So I don't know what this is. Came out of this little slot, this little groove cut in right here. So I'm not really sure what that was or is.